Hey lovelies, you all are welcome to my YouTube channel. Alright, in today's tutorial, I'll be teaching you guys how to make this lovely gown. It's a one shoulder two-step gown. Thank you to all my subscribers. Now here is a similar view of this one shoulder gown. Please, I want you all to pay attention to the back view of her gown. We're going to make sure we had that design at the back of her gown. Okay, I'll be making use of a stretchy fabric. All right, you would need a stretchy fabric, and her shoulder measurement is 16 into 2, which is 8. So I added half an inch for the stitches. Okay, then a armhole depth, I'm making use of 8 for the depth of a armhole. Then I'll also make sure I give it that curve, the armhole, and I went inwards by half an inch to give the armhole a curve so it doesn't bulge around the armpit area. The next thing I will be doing is to get a half length measurement, which is about 16. Then I just give an extra half inch for sewing allowance. A nipple point is 9 inches. I marked a nipple point. Then our under bust is 14 inches. Okay, our roundness of bust is 40. Divided into 4, you have 10. So I marked my 10 plus 1.5 inch. Because it is stretchy fabric, you don't need to add like up to 2. I think 1 inch is okay, 1.5. And I marked a tummy measurement plus extra 1 inch. Okay, so I had to get a ruler to straighten the shoulder area because I noticed the fabric at the top wasn't really equal. So I had to straighten it with a ruler. Then I cross-checked my measurements again just to ensure in position. I went ahead to cut. So the fabric stretches very well. So I'm cutting the back part of the gown. Remember, we need to do the half cut for the front and half cut for the back. We do not need seam for this particular outfit. Okay, so that's the reason why my back measurement and the front measurements are actually the same since the material stretches very well. Okay, take note of that. So now I cut the neck part of this gown, and I'm going in with a width of 3 inches and a depth of 3 inches, which is a normal regular measurement for neckline. Okay, so just cut it out the way you cut, and now the back part of the neck is usually higher than the front as usual, but we're still going to manipulate it later on in this video. Okay, I'll show you how you can achieve the one shoulder with that. Alright, so I want to cut the skirt part of this gown. We already cut the upper part now. That's the skirt part. So we'll join the skirt and the top part together and we'll have the gown. Okay. And I subtracted by 16 inches to get her full length. Her knee length is 40. But we are not cutting at 40 because of the two step. Okay, so we'll be marking, I'll be marking around probably 30, but her knee is 40. So let's just go in. But what I do normally, I subtract from the bottom. So I'm marking about 5 inches from her knee level. I'm subtracting like 5 inches out. Okay, so 5 inches subtracted from 40, we'll have about 35. I'm just doing that so we'll be on the safe side. You can make yours like the length of 29. Okay, so these are hip length. Her hip length measurement is 8 inches I used. Her hip is 12.5. 12.5, which is 50 into 4, you get 12.5. And I added 1.5 inches for the allowance. So our tummy measurement is a roundness of just 11, which is 44. So I added 1 inches. Then since we're coming downwards, we have to create that curve on our hip area by going in with 2 inches. Do you see? I'm marking my 2 inches to give it a curve inwards, right? So I want to go ahead and cut it now. Okay, so I just notched the hip part so to enable me know where the curve starts and ends. And I went ahead to cut the back part the same with the front because we're not making use of zip for this gown, okay? So I want to go ahead and cut the sleeve for this gown. The length, I'm using the length of 15 inches for her sleeve because we're going to fold. By the time you fold 1.5 inches out, it will fall back to 13. So I'm creating the depth for the curve of the sleeve. I came down by 5 inches here to get my curve. I always make use of 5 inches to get the curve downwards for my sleeve. And take notes, because it's a puffy sleeve, I added like extra 4 inches to her normal arm measurement. Next thing I want to do is to cut out the peplum. Yeah, this is the most interesting part of this gown. Okay, so you have to make sure you calculate carefully by folding your fabric into 4 parts. You fold into 2 and fold again. So I used the length of 18 inches. So it's time for me to cut the second peplum now. So I'm going round by just 16 and I went ahead to cut it. Okay, please, I would like you to drop a comment in areas where you need clarity on my tutorials. Okay, if there are areas you don't really understand for my cutting process, even though I try as much as possible to make it easy to understand, whatever you don't really understand, you can drop a comment and I will definitely respond. Okay, thank you. So you can see now that I've not opened the second peplum I cut, which was 16 inches. I used the length of 16 inches for the second peplum, and the bigger peplum I used 18 inches. So you see, I just used difference of 2 inches. Okay, so now it's time for me to show you how I'm going to achieve this one shoulder. Okay, so remember we cut the upper part of the gown first, so we are back to it now. Our nipple point is 9 inches, or we want to make sure we cut before the nipple point so our bust doesn't really show, you understand? That's the reason why I'm cross-checking with the nipple point, and I came down before the nipple point to get my curve. All right, so, and when you want to cut this part out, please make use of the front. Okay, the slanty part of the shoulder started from the left part of the gown. Okay, that's what I'm trying to do here. Like I said, make sure you come down in such a way that it could still cover the side of our bust. Don't come down completely, unless maybe on special requests the customer requested it that way. You can do it that way, but if not, I prefer you just do it this way. All right, so we've gotten our slanted shoulder. Yeah. Okay, so whatever you manipulated on the front part of this half cut, you have to make sure you manipulate it at the back part of the top. Now you see I'm okay, so you place them together, the half length for both the front and the back piece of this gown, and you cut. Okay, so to turn this neckline for the front and the back, ensure you use a polo lining. Okay, you can get polo lining at any tailoring shop. All right, that's what you're using to turn this material. You can use interfacing to turn just the neck, or I'd like it to look very different. That's why I'm getting polo lining. Okay, so this is the back part of the gown. Remember I said you should take note of the design at the back, and the design at the back, if you look carefully, has two holes. It has two openings, let me put it that way. Okay, and now these two openings, you have to make sure you carve it in such a way that it won't bulge out and to be perfect. So in order to achieve that, you need to place the skirt part of the gown and the top part of the gown together to create that curve. Now there was no curve on the skirt part, so just the up that was manipulated. That's why I'm creating this curve. You can decide to make yours very opened. For me, I will just do exactly what was in the video because that's exactly what my clients wanted. All right. Now here's the trick about this design. Before you start this your curve, make sure you mark out a bust. Now a bust is 10, like 40 divided by 4 is marked 10. Okay, and ensure this where your scissors mark should end should be before the a bust measurements. Okay, so if a bust measurement is 10, ensure you curve stops at maybe like 8 or 9. You get, so when you sew, everything is not going to open at completely at the two sides. Like if you see carefully now, I stopped just before the 10 inches. I stopped at, let's say, 9 or 8. I'm just creating the curve very well. So this is how it will be looking like, okay? And ensure you get your polo lining and just cut out the same thing you drafted before. Just cut it out on your polo lining. So since we're done with the cutting process, I've already trimmed out my polo lining together with my fabric. So what I'm having here is about 4 layers. There are 4 layers that includes the lining and the material itself, both for the front and the back. So I want to start with the front part of the gown. I'm joining the lining now with the fabric. So I'm basically just sewing the slanty shoulder first. That's the first thing you would do. The next thing I want you to do is this is the skirt. I also cut lining for the skirt, polo lining. So I'm joining the half cut of the front part to the skirt part. I'm going to stitch them together. Remember, the front part does not have any whole design. It's the back that actually has that whole. Okay, because I'm using a manual machine, the fabric was actually like not really stitching well. So I had to cut pieces of paper to stitch along with it. So it could be easy for me to join them without having any jump stitches. Okay, so I'm done. Then this is the back part. The first thing you would do is to sew the hole at the center. Do you understand? Do not sew the neck first before the hole. You have to sew the hole first so you can turn it out, then join the neck part, which is the slanted one shoulder, together. So that's what I'm doing now. I stitched it round. Okay, so I'm done turning it. You can see I pinned it all around so it would rest. You would turn the hole first, then you would turn the bottom. You can see I turned the bottom part of the half length. Okay, so now that we're done with that, you have to join the two shoulders together, the shoulder for the front and the back. So I went ahead to join the shoulders. Hmm. It's time for me to join my sleeves to the gown. Remember, it's a puffy sleeve. So just sew it, and when you're done, you would also fold the bottom part of the sleeve by 1.5 inches after you're done joining these shoulders. Okay, so I'm through joining the sleeves for the shoulder. Next, you fold the bottom by 1.5 inches so you could pass your elastic through it. Okay, remember the length of our sleeve, we used 15. So by the time we fold, it will go back to probably 13, which is good because we still need it to puff. Okay. Okay, lovely. So it's time for me to pass the elastic through the stitches of 1.5 folding, and that's what I'm doing right now. So here's how far we've made progress. I've done the elastic, but I've not yet joined the peplum to the gown, but I just want to show you how it looks. Okay, so you have to gather the peplum, the two-step peplum. Okay, and to achieve this, you need to sew a straight line with your machine, then pick out a strand and draw it. So the next thing now is for me to sew the peplum to the full gown. You know the peplum two-step is the last part of this gown. Okay, so I'm done, and this is basically how it will be looking like when you finally join them. It's looking pretty. You can go ahead and fold the edges. Like me, I just weaved it and folded it after I was done. Okay, if you find this video interesting, please like and comment. And I'm grateful for my returning subscribers. Thank you very much. Okay, so now it's left for me to add the belt. One thing about me, this is the back of the gown. I like adding my belt when I'm done creating the curve of what I wanted on the gown.